Season's greetings to all our viewers all across the globe. Thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of the show. It's the first one for the week. We'll do our best to make it worth a while. From the city of Lagos, right here in Nigeria, I'm Yemi Adebayo.
It's still the most wonderful time of the year, and it's such a delight to have you join us to talk sports in London. Austin Okonakpan.
All right, let's just dive straight into it. Let me give you a quick rundown of what to expect on the show. Tonight, we'll talk about the Africa Cup of Nations, 12 days to go. There'll be a special emphasis on the Super Eagles of Nigeria and their preparations for the Nations Cup. We will also take a look at the Nigeria Professional Football League, the results after match day 2, what to expect on match day 3. Then we travel abroad to take a look at what is going on in the English Premier League. 3 matches played today. One starting right about now, Liverpool and Leicester City. We will be talking about that for you as well. We will also focus on football signings. We are approaching that time where the transfer window opens. So we'll talk about a deal that has already been done. Then, of course, as we're approaching the first Grand Slam of the year in tennis, we will be looking at players that will be there at the Australian Open and players that will miss out, and of course those that are still making us wonder whether they will be there or not. Case in point, Novak Djokovic. All right, so that's the outlook of the show tonight. Austin.
I know, Yemi, so much going down in our world of sports, but for us in Africa and from the continent, you know, we want to know more about what's going on with the Africa Cup of Nations. And with just 12 days to go, I don't know about you, but I'm not feeling it the way it should be felt. You know, we know there is an undertone that COVID is controlling, but I've said we need to hear more from Cameroon. Cameroon needs to let us know that they are pumped up to host the Africa Cup of Nations. They need to do more for communication. They need to tell us the state of things in their country. For instance, we should be hearing and getting daily reports as regards COVID-19 and how Cameroon is handling those, cases. So I know we'll say when the football starts, it starts, but it's very important that we get some things done because we're in a very delicate state right now. And you don't want to live from be careful to sorry.
Yeah. That's it. If you ask me if I'm feeling the vibes. I'm not. Even right here in Nigeria, there are a lot of questions, and everything is overshadowed by COVID-19. But of course, even the preparations, you just conflicting signals everywhere. It's, it leaves much to be desired. Let me just put it that way. All right, Austin, we're not going to be doing this alone on the show tonight. We have a couple of guys that will be with us from start to finish. But first, let me introduce our partner from the Lagos studio right here with me. Tolu Lokwe Atobatele joins me. Tolu, greetings to you. Thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show tonight.
Yeah, good evening, Yemi. It's nice to always, stop sport, of course, on the channel, Sports Tonight on Channels TV, of course, a compliment of the season, first of all. So we're looking forward, to a greater 2022, starting now with the Africa Cup of Nations holding in Cameroon. Of course, the atmosphere, is spreading around, of course, and we have seen, countries, trying to perfect a strategy, before storming Cameroon for the 33rd edition of the African Cup of Nations. And of course, the biggest brand of football in Nigeria, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, are also looking forward, to, of course, give a good representation to the country, and of course, use the tournament, of course, as a preparations, towards the big cracker coming up in March, the World Cup playoff, of course, also the preparations, in Cameroon, just as Austin highlighted, so because we have to, keep up, with the information, of course, emanating from Cameroon, Garoua, and of course Yaoundé, Douala, and all the city hosting the matches, of the tournament. But in all, it's going to be, of course, an epoch year as far as sports is concerned. We're looking forward, to a greater 2022. Yeah, we all are. We're looking forward, and hopefully, COVID will not spring up more than it has already. So that it wouldn't affect the tournament. As far as the football ruling body on the continent is concerned, the AFCON will go on
and that's where we stand for now. 12 days to go. Let's give you an official confirmation, just in case you're wondering. It's 12 days to go from where we stand, 12 days to the big one. That's the Africa Cup of Nations to be held in Cameroon. 24 teams to participate. A lot of issues still being sorted. Some English Premier League clubs may hold on to their players till January the 3rd. We'll see what happens with that. And all of the teams already releasing their provisional squad, and some already releasing their main squad. All right, let me also bring in onto the show tonight another person who is joining us and giving us his own perspective on the things going on in the world of sports. Fisayo Dairo joins us on the show tonight. Greetings to you, Fisayo. Thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show.
Yeah, a very good evening to you, Yemi. Good evening to Prince. It's so nice to be on the show this evening.
All right, let's just get your take. Austin asked me earlier, and I'm going to ask you too. Are you feeling the vibes? Usually when it's 12 days to the AFCON, it looks like everywhere there's a buzz. You're feeling it. You're seeing documentaries. You're hearing information. You're seeing media men, us, journalists, going to the different camps, getting us story. But there's a lull somehow. Even though we know the tournament is going to go ahead, CAF has said so. But there's a lull. I don't know if that's the way you see it as well.
Yeah, interestingly, not until yesterday, which is Monday, I had not really felt it. But as from yesterday, I think I started to catch the bug. Just like you said, especially last week was filled with uncertainties. News of, are they going to postpone it? Is it going to hold? These things have really cast shadows on it. I remember when I was still really very much younger, and I'm talking about AFCON of 2000 and 1998. We used to do countdowns from our schools. We count down 30 days and so on and so forth. But it was difficult to do that this time around because of this cloud of uncertainties. But since yesterday, oh, come on, I've started feeling the vibes. I've started feeling, the fact that, yes, this is truly happening. And kudos to CAF media as well. If you go through their social media pages, they've been putting lots of stuff concerning the tournament, previous tournaments, players that have excelled, highlights, little highlights and thereabouts. So I think as from yesterday, I started to catch the vibe and, this sense of, oh, it is truly happening this year. And that just came over me.
Let me pass the baton to Austin. And while you were speaking, something interesting came to my mind. Austin's going to take it from here, but I'm passing the baton to him with a question. And the question is, outside Africa, are people viewing the AFCON the way we are? Because here in Africa, we're struggling to feel the buzz. We're struggling to get in the mood of the tournament. Out there, does this look like something is happening? For instance, I still have an issue with Premier League clubs being able to hold on to players to January 3rd, even though it was CAF, an arrangement with CAF and all that. It still shows how much disrespect this tournament, because if it was the European Championship, you release those players as early as you can. So outside Africa, is there any buzz, with regards to the AFCON?
Quiet, pretty much quiet. I was speaking to some colleagues in the media, and they were asking me, Austin, what's up, what's going on with AFCON, because we're not getting the sort of information that we need to get to, feel the competition. And when I say get information, don't put me in that bracket because I'm a journalist. I know where to go to ask questions. But what about persons who are in Europe, for instance, and wanted to go to Cameroon for the AFCON, and they're not hearing much? With COVID-19 still in the picture, as I said, Cameroon should do more in taking responsibility, take charge, be in control of this competition. From time to time, we hear from CAF, but I'd like to hear from Cameroon because if I'm traveling for the AFCON, I'm going to Cameroon. You want to be sure that it's fine. There are talks that some schools have been closed in Cameroon for about 3 months now. Is it safety concern? Is it COVID-19? When you're going to a country, you want to do your background research and make sure that where you're going to is safe haven, that is good enough for you to, step in and step out the way you got it. So it's quiet. I was speaking with Omar Katuba yesterday, and we were even saying that the election that brought in Samuel Eto'o made more buzz than even the countdown to the AFCON. You know, and we got to hear more about Cameroon and Samuel Eto'o becoming the FA president. And we're not hearing what we need to hear as regards the AFCON. So in that regard, I think they need to do more. With 12 days to go, maybe come up with something, strategic communication, get, you know, journalists from different parts of the world, you know, send out press releases, let everybody be saying one thing about Cameroon. I don't want to hear from the Nigerian media and they're saying this. The Egyptian media is saying something else, Algerian media is saying something else, and then the European media, they're just waiting to jump on maybe some cracks that will not make the AFCON happen. So I'm saying at this point, CAF, the Cameroon FA authorities for the AFCON need to come together, find a way that they make sure that the sort of information they're putting out there is one that will make people feel the presence of the AFCON, promote the spirit of the AFCON, and get players into the mood to come in and compete.
All right, so that's good to hear. All right, guys, as we continue with this conversation, let's zero in on the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We now know the guys that will likely make the squad for the AFCON, bearing any last-minute injuries or COVID incidents. But we're hoping that those kind of issues will not happen. Let's listen to the interim manager of the team, Augustine Egoevon, talking about the Super Eagles and admitting that the time he has to prepare the team is short.
I think this team is ready to compete anytime, any day, if called upon. And yes, the time, it's quite short. We all know that. Because every coach has his own leadership style, his own philosophy. And with the quality of players that we have, I don't think we'll struggle. But the only thing is, there won't be time for any friendlies. You know, that's when you actually assess your team, if they can actually do what you want or what the technical crew wants. Because I don't like to use the word "I" because it's you know, it's a team. So if it was time to play at least 2 or 3 friendly games, and then telling me how you want them to operate in departments, individually and collectively in lines, then I will say yes. But be that as it may, we just have to do what we have to do. Maybe in training sections, we can now tell them how we want them to play and guide them. There will be out there, maybe here, maybe out there, but it's not going to be as competitive as you want it, because you don't want to play the strongest team right now. Because of, when I say strong team, teams who can bully you, because you have to be also aware of injuries as well. So it's just like a rehearsal to see what you've done in training to put into perfection. You know, if it was that time that you have FIFA windows, you know, you can go for it 100% regardless of what, because you know you still have time in the tournament. But tournament starts only in January 9th. I'm not saying there won't be friendly games, there will be a warm-up game, but it's going to be a very casual one.
All right, that's it, Egoevon, giving us the explanation we need to hear with regards to the team's preparations. All right, Tolu, quick one. I want you to make it quick because we have a lot of ground to cover. You can't really ask for much from Augustine Egoevon in this kind of situation.
Of course, you know, he's in a very tight situation right now because looking at the team, you know, already we have a team on ground, but you still need to, you know, stamp his authority on the team, trying, you know, to understand, you know, how he wants the team to play. But it's quite a pity that there is no FIFA window where, of course, he will have utilized, you know, to play 1 or 2 friendly matches, you know, before going to Cameroon. But you know, he has to make do with what is on ground. You just have to, because we have maybe 5 or 6 days, you know, to spend with the team before traveling to Cameroon. But within those periods, I think he should be able, you know, to really, you know, affirm his authority on the team, like you know, coming up with a good tactics and formation, you know, to absorb while, you know, it gets to Cameroon at the end of the day. So, but for me, I think we just have to make do, you know, with the situation we find ourselves, knowing fully well that time is no longer on our side.
All right, time not on our side. Let me also, similar question to Fisayo Dairo. Fisayo, can anyone ask for much from Augustine Oguavon in this situation? He has told us we're likely not going to play any serious friendly because if we do that, it might do much harm than good at this point. And so a lot of people feel he's in a tight corner, and because of that, you can't ask for too much.
Well, from sporting terms, you cannot ask for too much from an interim manager. But Nigerians do not care. We will demand for the trophy, And Austin Eguavon himself knows Nigeria more than perhaps anybody among us when it comes to football. He has participated in many African Cup of Nations as a player. He has been there as a coach. So you could hear him say in that interview that, the materials are there for him. And if you take a look at a club like Chelsea in England, when the materials are there, the interim managers come in and at least win a minimum trophy. From Guzidink to Rafa Benitez, sorry for digressing, I think more recently to Tuchel. So for Austin Eguavon, normally we shouldn't demand, but Nigerians will demand. And for him, what many people are not actually, paying attention to is that Eguavon also has something to fight for. Do you know that if he wins the Nations Cup, he becomes the latest man to have won it as a player and as a coach? The other two men are no more. So, it is there for him to fight for. Yes, like I said, in sporting terms, you will say he is coming, not much preparations. As at now, the team have not yet resumed campaign. They can't play any serious friendlies, but he acknowledged himself that the materials are there. So he's just there. He has also tried, I think I like the fact that he has basically picked the same kind of team that Gennaro will have picked for the Nations Cup. So it's just left for him to use his tactical acumen, if he has any, which I think he does, although many people do not trust him. I think he has, at least to an extent. Just bring it into play and use your experience both as a player and as a coach to bring the best out of the team. Nigerians will not accept failure. We know that the team has not prepared well, but that does not give him the right not to come out of a group that has Guinea-Bissau and Sudan. That does not give him the right to get eliminated at the second round of the Nations Cup or at the quarterfinal. So he knows that it will be up for business, and of course it will be up for many questioning from Nigerians regardless of the situation he found himself.
Well, these are the times that we're going to be having this sort of conversations, because the moment the AFCON starts, the fans will be expecting the results, So the good thing is interim coach Austin Eguavon has said that the preparation is short, he admits, but he also went on to say that the team will be ready to compete. Let's go back to listen to Austin Eguavon. This time, he's talking about the chances of the Super Eagles at the competition.
Egypt, I think the 7 times winner, if I'm not mistaken, is a team I've played against, is a team I have coached against in their junior level as well. We know what it can bring to the table. It's not a team, it's not a pushover. Mind you, everything that have qualified for the AFCON is not a pushover. So we are going to do everything possible to see how we can actually analyze them individually and collectively and map out the strategy. And that's what you should expect from them to do as well. Because Nigeria is a big name, it's a big country in terms of football. And other teams will also be planning. Yes, we are doing that. We'll continue to do that until we find a solution on how we can take care of them. The opponents determines how you set up your team. So different approach against Egypt, different approach against Sudan, different approach against Guinea-Bissau as well. But when the time comes, you'll see all of that. And mind you, it's not a one-man show. I've got people around me. We have to tap from also. We have to try to sit down and talk things through and come up with one agreement or a decision. Of course, I have the final say. I would say I don't sleep well because of expectations, but I know not everybody, how do I put it now? There are people out there who want us to succeed. There are a few people out there who are also in doubt. But we will do everything humanly possible. Stick together. When I say the team, the entire federation and the players, of course, officials. And so we will do what we can and make sure we put some smiles in the face of Nigerians. But having said that, African Cup of Nations is not a small tournament. It's a major tournament. And Nigeria is ranked very high when it comes to football. So expectations are high. I think with what we have on ground and the support of everyone, especially the federation and of course the ministry, I think we will do well.
Welcome back to Sports Tonight on your award-winning sports-loving channels television. We're counting down to the AFCON. It's just about 12 more days to go. And Super Eagles interim manager, Austin Eguavoen, has been speaking about the chances of Nigeria at the competition. Nigeria is drawn in Group D. There's Egypt, Sudan, and Guinea-Bissau. And we listened to him say, there are no longer small teams in African football, and I agree. But Tolu, in a team that's got Egypt, Guinea-Bissau, and Sudan, with 2 teams to go, is there any type of stories Nigeria would hear if the Super Eagles don't make it out of such group?
Yeah, I think looking at the group, Nigeria should be able to make it out of the group, because Nigeria and Egypt, of course, I predict Nigeria, Egypt, making it out of the group. But this is football, anything can happen. Aside complacency, if the Eagles are not complacent, they should be able to make it out. But in a case where the Eagles failed, to make it out of the group, wow, I don't know how Nigerians, will react to such a situation, knowing fully well that we have a team capable of beating Egypt, Sudan, and Guinea-Bissau. Because I'm looking at a scenario where the fight, of course, will be between Nigeria and probably Guinea-Bissau. I'm looking beyond Egypt this time around, because I saw something, of course, which, of course, got me much more interested, to the Guinea-Bissau team, of which I wouldn't want to disclose now, for one reason or the other. But at the end of the day, Nigerians, of course, will not take anything short of second-round appearance, from the Super Eagles when hostility, of course, begins in a couple of days to this time.
Before I give it back to Yemi, Fisayo, we saw some shocking results during the qualifiers. Super Eagles not beating Central African Republic, struggling against Cape Verde. I know no competition is the same, but with the interaction with the fans, what's the confidence level that they have for the Super Eagles going into this AFCON?
Well, I dare say that the confidence level is low. And I think it was made lower by the fact that the Nigeria Football Federation dallied too much over their dismissal of head coach Gernot Rohr. I think if that decision had been made a day or 2 days after that Cape Verde game in Lagos, I'm sure everybody will have embraced it, and by now, confidence will have skyrocketed again. But at this point, a lot of people are skeptical. There are lots of skepticism in the air. Now, not only about the timing of the dismissal of the head coach, also about the competence of the new man coming on board, and a whole lot of things. So they're not particularly confident. But if my memory serves me right, this was the kind of situation we had in 2012, before we went for the AFCON in January 2013. As at this time, in December 2012, a lot of Nigerians were skeptical about the team. So maybe it could work in the advantage of the team. The head coach, you guys were talking about Nigeria. One thing we tend to forget is the fact that up to 3 teams can advance in the group. You need just 4 points, and you might be certain to be one of the best losers. So no questions about Nigeria not advancing from the group. It's not fathomable. So I think for now the confidence are low. The confidence level is very low among the fans. But it could work well for the team, just about.
All right, just about. We hope that will be the case. It will be a disaster of immense proportions if we don't get out of that group. And I'm sure no excuse will suffice.
Yeah, I mean, don't be entitled. Don't be entitled. Guevara has told you guys that there are no small teams, and that's why I asked Fisaya that question with what we saw during the qualifiers.
You're tempting me.
Everybody should be ready for any type of shock.
No. That's why I say you're tempting me. No, I didn't say win the AFCON. If I wanted to be entitled, that's where I will go. But that Nigeria will not get out of that in a situation where 3 teams, 4 best losers can still qualify. For that to happen, let's imagine, for that to happen, it means we will finish last in that group.
So that's unthinkable, right?
That's unthinkable.
Yeah, I mean, Ghana couldn't beat Sudan.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yeah. Some of those things don't happen in tournament proper. Qualifiers, yes. Tournament proper.
We have a different team, to Black Stars of Ghana, so we are not the same. So
exactly.
So Ghana couldn't beat Sudan does not mean Nigeria will not beat Sudan.
Okay, all right. I'm resisting the temptation to go ahead with this AFCON discussion, but we have a lot of ground to cover, guys. So let's move on the show, and hopefully the scenario we are imagining will not happen at all, because I'm even scared to even imagine that happening. Let's go to Nigeria Professional Football League now, and of course preview matches that will be played tomorrow. Let me just quickly reel out the fixtures for you. We'll also look at the situation after match day 2, but these are the fixtures for you. Lobby Stars taking on Shooting Stars, Aqua United taking on Gombe United, Eimba International taking on Rivers United, Sunshine Stars taking on Rangers. These are some of the fixtures on match day 3. Heartland will take on Dakada. MFM FC will take on Plateau United. Kwara United will take on Wiki Torres. Remo Stars, a good start for Remo Stars, the newcomers, they're doing well. Will take on Nasarawa United. These are fixtures on match day 3. Matches to be played across the country. Katsina United will take on Kano Pillars, and Niger Tornadoes will take on Abia Warriors. All right, Fisayo, let me get your take on this one. I give you a lot of props because you're somebody who follows the league closely, and I do respect your opinion when you talk about some of these things. So let me get your take on what to expect in some of those fixtures.
I think 2 matches stand out in this particular match day. I refer to them as derbies, although only one is a proper, geographical derby. And that's the match between Kano Pillars and Katsina United in Katsina. It's always feisty, always, the crowd, that is often characterized by crowd disturbance here and there, but it's always very competitive, and that's the positive side of it. And Katsina United have not beaten Pillars since 2017, so it promises to be another interesting one right there at the Muhammadu Diko Stadium in Katsina. So that game, although it's going to be played on Thursday, we must say that. So we must say that. And I think I have to come back to tomorrow's game between Eimba and Rivers United in Aba. I term it the Aba Road Derby. Why? Because one of the most popular roads in Port Harcourt is the Aba Road. That's straight road from the government house, Port Harcourt, to Osisioma in Abia State. So it's always a very interesting encounter. And these 2 teams have built some sort of rivalries over the years. Tomorrow again, I think I have to be in Aba for that game because you don't want to miss such a game. Last year, both teams faced up to 4 times, twice on the continent, twice in the league. This particular season, they played a pre-season friendly. Both coaches in charge of Rivers United now, Stanley Eguma and Fatai Osho, his assistant now, both have worked with Eimba, with Osho working with the team last year. So it's all shades of interesting affair tomorrow. Finidi George, you started like a house on fire, 5 consecutive wins in all competitions. Certainly that game stands out. And again, there are some other games, but those 2 matches, for me, are the top of the pile this particular match day.
All right. Thank you, Visaya. And a quick one from you as well, Tolu. If you were telling somebody, go and watch games? Which ones will you say?
Well, I will pick Enyimba International against Abia Warriors because
Enyimba and Rivers.
Enyimba and Rivers United because of Afinidijo, because I been following him since he took over the reins at Enyimba International, and I love the way he has been able to handle the team. So, and his tactical acumen, of course, is really paying off for the team. I think he knows his onions. So, and the players, of course, are playing for him. Coupled with the fact that we have seen how football should be played, and he has been able to redefine the philosophy of these players, of course, and let them know the reason, of course, they put on jerseys and put on. So now another game, of course, I'm looking forward to is MF Remo Stars of
Nasarawa United.
Nasarawa United, I understand, because Remo Stars, have started on a very high note, winning 2 games, of course, and are going for, third victory. If, of course, they are able to get it right against Nasarawa United. And Nasarawa, coming to the game, we don't want to lie low, for Remo Stars, knowing fully well that, of course, they have their image and integrity, to protect. And Remo Stars, playing at home, could be difficult, to beat if you don't prepare your team very well. Of course, you might find yourself wanting, when you face off with the Remo Stars. But for me, my pick, of course, Remo Stars and Nasarawa United, Enyimba International of Aba, and Rivers United.
Okay, all right. Let's examine the table. Austin has been, talking about the table and some of the surprises, and of course, it's going to do that as well again. But let's see. After match day 2, this is what it looks like. And so, Austin, I mean, you were telling me some things last week about this table, but I guess both of us didn't expect, even though it's just after match day 2, we didn't expect to be seeing Remo Stars on top. And if they win their next game, it means they will have spent 3 weeks on the top of the table.
And that's the newly promoted team. That's a team that has come into the league, and they're not showing respect to any of the big boys. And they're not just on top of the table with just 6 points. They're on top of the table with respect. 5 goals from 2 matches. Andy Okpe on fire has scored 3 goals in 2 matches, and nobody would tell me they expected Remo to, give you this sort of push, particularly starting with an away fixture in Lagos, beat MFM 2-0, punished Atlant 3-0, and so they are beaming with confidence as they go into match day 3 against Nasarawa United, who, by the way, Nasarawa United are still looking for their first win of the season. So we'll see what they can do when they play that one. But shout out to Enyimba, and let me say it again, that whoever did these fixtures didn't have any form of love for Enyimba. The way they've started the season, it's back to back big fixtures. Started with the Abia Derby, then they went into the Oriental Derby, and now they are facing Rivers United. If there's any team that Enyimba didn't want to play last season, it was Rivers United. And it's just match day 3, and they are meeting Rivers United. So these are interesting times in the league, but I'd like to see how MFM Football Club of Lagos will pick themselves back up when they play Plateau United, and they've lost 2 matches, and yes, it's early, days in the league, but it is this sort of beginning that, in a way, can tell where a team is going. For instance, Abia Warriors struggled all through last season, but this time you can tell that the team is shaped in a way that Coach Imama does not want anything like as what happened last season to repeat itself. They lost the Abia Derby, but they went on to win on match day 2. So we'll wait to see what they will do on match day 3. Interesting fixtures all through the Nigeria Professional Football League.
All right, Austin, I still want to stay with you. You're going to lead us through the next things we're going to do. We've been having interesting discussions about the biennial World Cup plans, and now some of the prominent players are beginning to share their views. Some of them were at the Globe Soccer Awards, and they had quite a few things to say. So take us through. Some of those comments came as a surprise for me. I don't know if it came as a surprise to you as well.
I mean, nothing comes as a surprise to me these days when you put money inside football, because even these players, and some of them, the way they even play football, you could tell it's all about the money. So I know the Biennial World Cup will get, divided views here and there, but it will be difficult for players to say no because these guys are professionals, particularly when you play for a country where your chances of qualifying for the World Cup is slim. So you mentioned the Globe Soccer Awards. Players have been giving their reactions as regards the biennial World Cup plans. Robert Lewandowski has also been talking. Let's listen to him. We'll be right back.
Playing 60 games every single season without longer break, summer break, for the long way, it's impossible. Okay, maybe for the few years it's possible, but we are human. We are not machine. We cannot play football on so high intensity longer than 10 years. For me, you know, we need also sometimes the break, not only a few days, and to playing World Cup every 2 years. We will not the special as in this moment to playing every 4 years. In this moment to be in World Cup, and that. Waiting for this moment, the first game World Cup or the final World Cup, for everyone is something. So if you're waiting longer for this, you know that the taste is different.
Now I get where Yemi was going when he said, when he asked if I was surprised, you know. But let me throw it back to Tolu in the studio, you know, and then listen to his story if I jump into it. Tolu, the things that Robert Lewandowski talked about, did it come as a surprise?
Well, of course, I'm not surprised, you know, with what he just pointed out. Of course, you know, answering a feeding a question, you know, because looking at it, you know, from a different, you know, perspective, you know, we should be asking ourselves that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, these players are not machines, you know, they are human beings, you know. We know they don't enjoy much holidays. Of course, you know, 10 months, you know, make up a season. You know, after that we have international windows, you know, international tournaments, you know, coming up within, you know, within the season. So, and you know, talking of biennial World Cup, you know, but you know, it will be good, you know, for some players, you know, with a lesser opportunity, you know, to feature at the World Cup with the national teams. But why, you know, some, you know, some, you know, we see it, you know, as a different thing entirely. But you know, the atmosphere, you know, of the World Cup, you know, that comes every 4 years, you know, is the real deal as far as a World Cup is concerned. Because when you say, you know, going with a biennial World Cup, you know, it will take the shine of the World Cup. You know, it won't be glamorous, you know, as you know, it is, because when it comes in every 4 years. At the end of the day, I am not surprised with how, you know, Lewandowski, you know, was able, you know, to. You know, to spread it out, you know, saying what, you know, they should consider players, you know, looking at, you know, from different perspectives, as I said earlier on. But at the end of the day, you know, it's something, you know, it's something, of course, you know, to really meditate on.
Okay, all right. Let's also get Fisayo in on this. We'll listen to Kylian Mbappe later on, but Fisayo, it'd be interesting to get your views. I personally like the way Lewandowski answered that question. He laid it all out, and he said everything that most people have been saying about the biennial World Cup plans. But I'm interested in, you know, seeing where you stand on, especially against the backdrop that all African FAs are backing this idea.
Yeah, you know, I have been shocked actually to see that this plan has had so many people backing it. So that really aroused my curiosity. And one part of my curiosity was that what's in this plan that is making so many federations give it their support. You know, this goes beyond just the money for me, you know. And but apparently, one of the concerns raised by Robert Lewandowski is that the players get to play too much games. But with what I've heard, plans are that matches for players will be reduced if these plans come to fruition. I do not know how they're going to do that. And that's perhaps why UEFA are seriously kicking against it. Because for a federation like UEFA that have brought up European Nations League, that have brought up the UEFA Euro Championships, it means that such plans will be hit by World Cup qualifiers, which means that they will have to scrap at least one of those competitions. So I'm still curious. I would really like to see that plan, because Arsene Wenger is one corny man, and not just corny, he's someone that also knows what he's doing. So I really want to see the broader plan, because apparently lots and lots more nations are buying into the idea. Yes, in support of the fact that I don't like it in the sense that it will become too frequent. Just like Lewandowski said, we want to look forward to it every 4 years. We want to look forward to, attending World Cup. That reality brings a little more, much more interesting factor into it. So, but I want to see what is in that plan that has really brought over many African countries, many South American countries, many Asian countries. Perhaps it goes beyond our agitation, that it brings more games for the players, it makes it more frequent, it waters down the level of competition. I would like FIFA to come out with that position, with that plan, and let everybody judge for ourselves.
There's a contrast. Former players like this idea. Current players don't seem to like it. That's the tiny thread that joins all of these things that I've seen. We need to move on the show. There'll be a lot of time to discuss extensively on this proposed biennial World Cup plans. But now, let's go to Austin's end and talk about matches currently going on in the English Premier League. As a matter of fact, just one game, 3 matches already concluded. Yeah. Austin, what's the situation report?
It's still goalless the last time I checked. Liverpool, they're pushing, so hard. But as it is, Leicester City, they are still, holding their grounds. You don't lose the way they lost against Manchester City in their last match and then come out to be vulnerable in this sort of game. But little chances have been created so far. So that's why I've not seen, any goal in this one. But today, some of that games went down. Arsenal would have loved to continue their fine form against Wolverhampton Wanderers, but COVID-19 didn't let that game, go on. That's what we're talking about. This situation is still right in front of us, and we must take every opportunity to be careful in dealing with it. Crystal Palace today defeated Norwich City 3-0. Southampton and Tottenham played 1-1. Emmanuel Dennis, Super Eagles striker, scored his 8th goal of the season. It was Watford that scored first, but Yemi, they went on to lose that one 4-1 right there at Vicarage Road. That result sort of, got me thinking, because they got an early goal through Emmanuel Dennis, but somehow they blinked, and West Ham are still, hurting from that last defeat at home to Southampton, jumped on the opportunity to win that one by 4-1. So that's it. Football, if you blink, you're going to ask questions. But so far, it's still Leicester City 0, Liverpool 0, and we're approaching halftime soon.
All right, so that's it. Situation report from the English Premier League. All right, guys, before I let you go on the show tonight, let me quickly go to Fisayo Dairo. Your parting shot on the show. Do you see anything changing between, in terms of the scoreline, Liverpool and Leicester? Quick one.
Leicester City have been shipping in bags of goals these days. So I won't be surprised if Liverpool eventually gets to win. Sadly, I'm not watching, so I don't know how well they've performed the way Newcastle did against United yesterday. But my instincts tell me that Liverpool will still score in that particular game. So it's left for Leicester to also score if they really want to get something out of it.
All right, besides that, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully we get to do this some other time.
It's my pleasure.
All right, that's our friend Fisayo Dairo giving us his input. And Tolu, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get your thoughts, but I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully we get to do this some other time.
Of course, it's always interesting talking sport.
All right, so that's it. Parting shot on the show tonight. Dominic Thiem will not be at the Australian Open. He has pulled out due to injury, and the women's defending champion Naomi Osaka has arrived in Australia for the first Grand Slam of 2022. That tells us she will continue her tennis career. That's much we can take on the show tonight. We do hope that you've been able to enjoy all that we brought to you. We'll be back here again tomorrow to take you on a trip across the money spinning world of sports. From the city of Lagos, right here in Nigeria, I'm Mimi Adebaya saying bye-bye now.
Half-time in that game between Leicester City and Liverpool. A vital information I left here. Mo Salah missed a penalty in the 16th minute. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.